Hi, this is Monica from Add a Little Dazzle. In today's video, we're going to teach you how to make this table number place setting, how to hand emboss this number in the center. To begin this project, you are going to need to purchase a 5x7 frame, and in addition, you're going to need to purchase a small mini frame that measures 2.5 by 3.5. I purchased these for under $3. Now, the first thing I need to do is I need to create the background piece that I'm going to put behind this glass right here. And so in order to do that, I've taken a 5x7 piece of cardboard that comes with your metal sheets when you order them. And I've taken a piece of timeless portrait fabric that Stampin' Up! Carries. And I am going to attach this piece to this cardboard. I'm going to take some snail and I'm going to run it along the four walls of my cardboard piece. And I'm going to take my fabric that I've already cut out to size and I'm just going to place it on top. I'm going to take my frame and I am just going to pull out this back piece right here and slip in my fabric piece. And as you can see, it's already added a beautiful touch to this frame. Okay, so now I'm going to take this little frame and I'm going to flip it over. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take off this back piece because I'm not going to need that. And I'm going to go ahead and open. And then what I did was I went ahead and embossed a 2.5 by 3.5 inch piece of black diamond metal sheet, and I embossed it with the Lacy Brocade Impressions folder. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over it with my sanding block. Now once that I've done this, I'm just going to clean it off and I'm going to place it right in there. And that piece is done and it's ready to be attached here. Okay, so the easiest way I find to do this is to go ahead and flip it over, and I'm going to use my glue gun, but I'm not going to put the glue directly on the glass because it's going to be way too hot. I'm going to let it cool off for just a second, and I'm going to place it right there and press down and just let it set. Okay, now I'm going to teach you how to create this beautiful piece in here. And there's a couple of things that you're going to need in order to do that. The first thing you're going to need is you're going to need the designer frames folder. And this set comes with two. It comes with an oval one and it comes with a rectangular one. And my recommendation is if you're going to just use one number or one letter, then the oval one will work perfectly. But if you need more than one number, then you're going to need to use this rectangular one. And it's going to be the same process that I'm going to teach you on how to do this. The only thing is you're going to cut off this frame on the outside and just leave the inside piece. In addition, you're going to need one of Stampin' Up's dies, and I'm called the Typeset Alphabet Bigs die. And in this set, you will receive 4 dies. They include 26 letters, 10 numbers, and 1 symbol. And these can be found on page 192 in your main Stampin' Up! Catalog. Now, as you can see, this is the size of the numbers and the letters, and these go perfect with our designer frames. And so in order to create this, you're going to need to have these numbers, and you want to make sure that you cut them out of the cardboard that comes when you order your metal sheets, because you don't want it to be very thick, because if it is very thick, then it will cut your metal. I've gone ahead and cut out these numbers, and I've already taken a 2.5 by 3.5 inch piece of black diamond metal sheet, and I've embossed it with the oval frame, and I am going to teach you how to emboss these numbers on here. There are a couple of things you're going to need. You're going to need to have a standard cutting plate, and there can be no scratches on it. It cannot be one that's used. It needs to be one that is smooth with no marks on it, that is just used for hand embossing. In addition, you're going to need this piece of suede that comes in our Add a Little Dazzle toolkit. You're going to need your paper stump, and you are going to need this refiner. And I've already gone ahead and die cut my numbers. And what I'm going to do is I'm only going to do the number 1. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a little bit of snail on it. Just enough so that I can flip this piece over and position it exactly where I want it to be so that it doesn't move when I start the process. Now, it is important that you keep in mind that you must create the oval piece first. You can't work the other way around or this will not work. It'll get flattened and damaged. Then I'm going to take my paper stump, making sure that I place the metal on top of my standard cutting pad, and I'm just going to start rubbing. And you're going to see what's going to happen as I start rubbing. The number is going to start to appear. And like I mentioned before, you don't want to use thick cardboard, because if you do, there's too much height to it and it'll cut your metal. And so here, gone over it, as you can see here. Then I'm going to take my refiner and I'm going to outline it to give it more definition. And because I'm using this Teflon refiner, it allows the metal not to be scratched. And then I'm going to go in again with my paper stump, and if there are any areas that I need to flatten, then I'm going to do that. Now, as you can see, that was very easy to do. And so now I'm going to add texture to the back of this. I've already embossed this with the Big Shot, but I want to add some hand texture. So I'm just going to make little swirls, making sure that my metal piece is on this standard cutting mat. Again, it cannot have any scratches on it or it will show up. And so then I'm just going to start doing squiggles and filling up all the areas that's empty around the number. The entire piece, and you can see the number is outlined. And now what I want to do is I want to sand this entire piece. And so I'm going to take my sanding block and I'm just going to go over the entire thing. Now, one thing I do want to tell you is to leave that cardboard piece there for right now, because if you remove it while you're sanding, it's going to flatten the number. And so you're just going to go over this piece. Here in the center area, you're just going to put in your sanding block and start sanding it so that you can see the texture that you created right there. And you're just gonna keep on doing that until you get it just where you want it on that hand embossed piece. And if you realize that you took off too much and you want to add some more black, then go over it with shoe polish and you should be fine. And then here in the center, I'm just going to really sand it down to clean up that number one so that that silver will come through really nice. So I've cleaned it up, and then I'm going to take my refiner again and I'm going to outline it to make sure everything is nice and clean. Oops, I just went over that little piece there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paper stump and see that flattens and erases any mistakes. So now you won't be able to see that. And so then now what you're going to do is go ahead and cut out around the outside, but leave that number there for right now. Okay, so here is the beautiful number that I've created using the Designer Frames folder and the Typeset Alphabet Big Die. And now I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to carefully remove the cardboard piece, and you can save that. Now, if you look at it, it looks good, but I want to add some more texture to it. I really want this number to jump out at me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to place it on my piece of suede. And I'm going to take my paper stump and I'm going to push through on the metal. And I'm going to use my paper stump because this is going to allow me to have a smooth look on the front. Don't want to press too hard. You'd rather start light, and then if you want it out more, then do that. And so here you can start seeing that my number is coming out, but I still want it more puffed out. So I'm going to flip it over again and I'm going to puff it out more. I'm going to go all around the edges to make sure that I've got every part that I want puffed out. So as you can see, it's really created a beautiful look there. But when I puffed it out, not only did it lift the area where the number is, but it also lifted this part, and I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my glass mat, I'm going to place it right here, and I'm going to take the deerfoot end and go over it. And you're going to see how this number just really pops out. Okay, so I'm going to flip it over again because I had an area that got smushed. So you can get it as much as you want. Just be careful that you don't break the metal. And the important thing is that you have that suede piece underneath, because that's going to allow you to push through on the metal. You can't just do it on the cutting plate, because that's not going to puff out the metal. That's made to flatten it. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and flatten out the areas. I'm going to use the deer foot. And here I go. And so I'm going to flatten out all the areas, go in on this side, and I am done. And I got it. Now that I've done all this beautiful work and this number is popping out, you know what's going to happen. Everybody's going to want to touch it, and when they do, they are going to flatten it. So what you're going to do is you're going to flip your piece over, and you're going to use the Add a Little Dazzle backing paste, and you are just going to squirt it right in there and fill it up all the way. And let it dry for about 15 minutes. And once this has dried for 15 minutes, it will be rock solid and it will not damage your piece. Here's one that I've already done, that I already filled it up in the back, and look, I'm pressing down and nothing is happening to it. Now, I did want to mention that if you are going to do one number, then you can use the oval. But if you're going to do two numbers are not going to fit in there. So you're going to use the rectangular designer frames folder that comes in it and cut it off. Now if you want to add more of a look because it looks too simple to you, then take this Label Collections framelit and look what I did. I added it on the back to create some interest. And the great thing is that with these frames that you created with fabric, you can save them, and then later on, if you have a different event, then just pull out the fabric and switch it out and you're ready to go. It's a very easy project to create, but yet so stunning. And everybody that sees this is going to love it, and they're not going to believe that you made it and it was so easy to make. I invite you to visit our Stampin' Up! Store, where you can purchase our Stampin' Up! Fabric, which is on sale this week until March 31st for 50% off. In addition, also invite you to visit our Add a Little Dazzle store, where you can purchase our Add a Little Dazzle toolkit along with our backing paste and our metal sheets. And if you need any of these pieces, these die pieces, you can also find it in our Stampin' Up! Store. I invite you to also check out our Add a Little Dazzle virtual club at www.addalittledazzleonline.com. And this upcoming edition, we are going to teach you how to create something like this, but we're going to take it up a notch, and you are not going to believe what you're going to create, and you don't want to miss out, because this is only exclusive for our virtual club members. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at monica@addalittledazzle.com. Thanks, and have a dazzling day.